Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde, Jean-Guy Bourguignon on EFA28 on this Saturday, April 25th. Today I want to talk about the understanding of the respect of value, and understanding the roles of society when you're looking at civilized societies, when you're looking at strong women that are enabled within civilized societies. And I'm going to speak to you today as a mama's boy. I was a mama's boy. I'm also the father of two strong, driven young ladies with tenacity, and the husband of a beautiful woman who's not only strong, driven, but she's also a leader amongst leaders. Right. So when I look at that, and I look at a brother of five sisters who opened their own door through life and made their own path through life, and the like my look at my mother, who is the grandmother and a role model for many, and my daughter is abuela, their grandmother on my wife's side, my mother right to the end. Like before the respirators took her and ALS took her completely immobile, she would be with slap foot and a cane still moving furniture. I'm not kidding you. And I look at my wife's mother, my daughter's abuela, their grandmother, still alive today, and this is like an 80-year-old woman here that you can't stop her. She has more energy than men or women half her age, right? So when I look at that, and I look at myself, who in business and in government have surrounded myself, been around, worked with, partnered with some of the strongest driven women out there. And I'm attracted to strong, driven women. I've always been attracted because it engages conversations differently. So I've hired and worked with in that some of the strongest women, and I've talked about it, and some of the strongest men or women, when I talk about equality. And then the reason that happened is because I'm in a society, I'm within a culture, within a country that enables that over the years it enabled that. Like I tell my daughters, who one plays baseball on an all boys team almost, and then my other one has soccer and all these other sports and all these activities they're in, and whatever they want to take in music and whatever they want to achieve in life, they're enabled to do. They got the tools that they want it, and they can access that in our societies. And like I tell them, there's some societies that you get shot in the head if you're trying to go to school as a girl, right? When I look at that, and I explain to them, the more a society has a balance between men and women, civilized balance, the more civilized the societies are. And I'm going to talk about measuring sticks, right? On the previous EFAs, some of the strongest results and that kind of stuff are some of the countries where women were leaders, or some of the most civilized societies had better results, right? And I talked about civilized yesterday, and I talked about nations of respect and respecting your governance and your structures and all that. And also, it's the respect within societies, but also within those categories, the respect of women within societies, right? So those societies that have the most respect in women, if you look at your measuring sticks right now in the world, there's a lot of things being measured right now, right? A lot of the changes that are happening, part of the shifts that I talked about in previous EFAs. When you look at this one, a lot of measuring sticks are being done also, and a lot of results are being found. And one of the things they're going to find is that nations that are civilized, with civilized women on equality with men, and can compete and do anything equally as men, tend to have more structure that people follow, that people guide by and adhere to, a more civilized society. So when I look at that, like I tell my daughters all the time, men or women, no drama. Like, don't, like, no drama, right? And I'm in my house. I tell them, I go, drama is such a waste of productivity. It's such a waste of productivity. And here I am, to one of the biggest guy in the house with one of the strongest women, and three of the strongest women in my household, my wife and two daughters, who will clash with each other. And I'm like, right? And I got two dogs, driven dogs, who fight with each other to sit on me. I'm the biggest guy in the house, and I sit on a couch like this. I'm not kidding you. I have my laptop. I'm all comfortable. I got my double headphones on. I'm watching my series, and I'm working silently. I put my everything on mute, so I'm engaged in conversation with my daughters and my wife, and I'm working on things silently. And then all of a sudden, one dog will sit on me, and then the dog starts fighting on me, and I'm typing like this. But it makes me laugh, right? So it's that relationship, that relationship in business, that relationship in government, that understanding, that value, the extra that it brings in substance from different perspectives, right? That's what creates the civilized societies. That's what creates it. right? When you have a balance, when people are able or enable or have the tools or given the tools or allowed to take the tools to do what they want to be, who they want to be, and have been able to climb that ladder of life to excel in everything. I mean, could you imagine how many more athletes would come out of certain nations? Could you imagine how many more scientists and scholars and engineers and architects and that would come out of certain nations, right? That would prosper, right? The world would be a better place, would it not? How could it not? If you're able to excel and exceed in life, right? If excel and exceed in life, whether you're a man or a woman, right? And if you're able to apply it within your nations equally, right? Wouldn't that make for a better civilized society? And I said about taking care of my mother, and I also took care of my father and my siblings, and I took care of them right to the end, right to the end. Like my father, strong man, last 10 days, 5 strokes, bang, 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 back to back to back. The last day, he was sitting on his bed, wanted to go back home. Strong man. We went to the hospital. Listen to this. If you have any conditions, go to the hospital. My father kept it to himself. An old World War II veteran. A lot of the conditions that have been transpiring for a year, he didn't talk about. But then the blood clot finally lodged into his brain, and he fought it right to the end. But his heart gave out in the last 10 days, right? But as siblings are right there, right to the end. Even though my dad, strong as he was, he told me, he basically told us, my brother and I, like, stay home with your families. You guys have families. Don't come visit me every day. I think about that, right? But that was the old school day, the World War II guy. You know what I mean? You don't need to visit. You got families. He was a provider, and he knew that we had to provide, right? And my mother, when I look at her with the family, siblings, 7 years of scheduled work and everything to be with her every day because of ALS, and we took care of them right to the end. And why is that? Why would you take care of your parents right to the end? Because they took care of you from the beginning, right? It's a fair trade, isn't it? It's a fair trade. So that's the value of respect. That's a value of respect. That's the fabric of respect right there. And you apply that to your mother and you apply that to your father equally. And I know there's a million stories, trillion stories out there of everything. And I know there's unfit parents, and I know there's unfit mothers, and there's unfit fathers, and there's fit fathers that will get ripped from the right of being a good father by the system, and there's fit mothers that get the right by the system, and it's all the pollution of fragmented stories. I know there's all that out there, but who suffers is a child, right? And then society, because that child becomes part of the system. When a lot of those kind of things, coming back from my corrections background, upbringing, surrounding, and foundations I talked about, a lot of that lack of it ends up with societies that are fragmented, right? Or fragmented parts of your society. So going back to what I said, the equality between my mother and my father, that respect that I had for both of them equally, right? That's your foundation of respect for women and respect for men equally within a society. And that respect right there, look around you. Look at your societies right now that are the most organized, the most that follow the grassroots follow the measures and procedures and adhere to the communication and the respect between governance and people on average. Those societies are the ones that have the most equality between men and women, the respect of equality between men and women. Jean-Guy Bourguignon, EFA 28, wishing each and every one of you a fantastic, warm Saturday. Thank you. Merci.